Hey, welcome back to the Positive Pomona Production Studio here in downtown Pomona. You're here with Andrew Quiñones, Executive Director of the Southern California Service Corps. And today we're here with the Pomona Promise Network podcast. And in studio we have special guest Christina Jimenez of Project Sisters. Welcome, Christina.
Thank you for having me here today, Andy.
Well, it's good to have you here. Now, you and I have been friends and community associates for over a decade now.
Yes.
And so I'm so glad to have you here to share with the community all the good work that you do. And then hopefully we'll be able to send some information to the other side to get people actively involved with Project Sisters and all the great work they do.
Definitely, I think Project Sister Family Services has been in the community for over 50 years. It's unfortunately a great resource to have in the community. It's unfortunate that we need to have this resource, but it's definitely a valuable resource. And I think definitely we focus on a topic. For those of you that don't know Project Sister Family Services, we are a sexual assault agency. Our mission is to reduce the trauma and risk of sexual assault and child abuse. So a lot of people don't talk about that. And so I'm very excited to be here in April. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, also known as SAM. We call it SAM. And Sexual Assault Awareness Month is really just to raise awareness of what is sexual assault, how do we prevent it, and how do we create a culture where survivors of sexual assault feel heard, they feel supported, and that they know that there's a community out there that's there for them. So really excited to be here and to share more information. And just thank you, Andy, for having me and for the Pomona Promise Network for inviting us to be here today.
All right. Now, we're going to get more into the organization after our next break. But I want to first learn, and I want our community to learn a little bit about you and your background. Now, from what I understand, you live here in Pomona, yes?
I do. I was born at Pomona Valley Hospital. I was raised here in Pomona. I grew up in the Westmont neighborhood community, lived there for 20-some years. I went off to college. I went to Mount St. Mary's College. Now it's Mount St. Mary's University. I actually started there as a nursing major. I wanted to become a nurse. A semester into the program, I decided this wasn't really for me. I had a passion for sociology, for social work. So I changed my majors and I have my bachelor's in social work. And I'm looking to go back to grad school to get my master's in public administration, public policy, leadership. Haven't quite decided yet, but definitely still live here in Pomona. I don't want to leave Pomona. I hope I never have to leave Pomona. But I'm very thankful to have a family and a community here in Pomona.
Yes, and I've met your father, so I've come to understand that service runs through your family.
Definitely, service does run through our family. We definitely love to give a helping hand with, never expecting anything in return. We definitely believe, and I'm very thankful for my parents who taught me to always pay it forward. And you give what you can without expecting anything in return. And I think that's definitely the way I live my life. I will do for others if I can. If I can't, I don't offer because I know I'm limited. But I never expect anything in return. I'm not a contractual person. I don't ask for transactions or anything. I definitely just do it from my heart, for my love and my compassion for my community.
That's why you and I are like-minded people.
Yes, definitely.
That's right. I too live here in Pomona.
Yes, you do.
Raising my family, and so we both live, work, and play, and are truly committed and invested into making a better tomorrow for our family members and future, children and families coming here, right? Yeah,
our future generations. I think that's definitely where my passion is in service, is giving back to the youth in the community. I stopped to think about, who gave to my parents when they were growing up here, as immigrant children here. We talk oftentimes about how Pomona has changed when they were children, when now that I'm an adult, how things are very different. My mom will tell me stories of when she used to live across the street from the library, and she used to walk to Ganesha Park at 9 years old all by herself.
Wow.
And I was like, that's very brave. I don't know if I would walk to Ganesha Park by myself on a random day by myself. It's very different the way society has changed, but I'm very thankful that we still have a community of residents and community partners and even leaders that are really looking out for the safety and the future of our next generations and our current generations.
That's right. In some circles of mine, I'm known as a complainer. I complain about things. And I'm thinking you may also be a complainer. However, there's two types of complainers. There's one that complain and does nothing about it. And there's the other type of person that complains and say, what can I do about it? And you certainly seem to be that type of person saying, you know what, things can be better. What can I do to step in to help the situation?
Mm-hmm. I think definitely. I wouldn't say that I'm identified as a complainer. I'm identified as the vocal person.
The vocal person.
They see Christina and they're like, Christina's going to say something. She's going to point something out. She's going to, and not to single people out, but to say, wait, let's not focus on those that are in the shadows, those that are, maybe shy to speak up. So, and I think that's not just even in the community, even in my family. I'm a very outspoken person, and I'm gonna call you out on your stuff, not because I want to be disrespectful, rude, but because I just want to open the conversation to just take a moment to take this perspective in.
Yes, that's right. That's cool. So, again, what is your role at Project Sister? What is your title?
So my title at Project Sister, I am the manager of outreach services. So what that generally entails is I oversee all of our community outreach and education. So we're doing resource tabling events, trying to keep track of social media, doing a lot of presentations to talk about not only prevention of sexual violence, but we talk about how to gain access to resources and help the community understand what does sexual trauma do? How does that affect a person in their life? Because definitely when we talk about sexual trauma, it is a lifelong healing. And we definitely, within the organization and our other departments, our hotline, we meet a survivor where they're at. And so we definitely provide that support to them. But for me, what I do in the outreach services is I kind of connect with all of the school districts and community partners we have in the area. So we actually are based here in Pomona, but we serve 21 cities in the East San Gabriel Valley of Los Angeles County and the west end of San Bernardino County.
Wow.
So, this morning I started my day off in Pomona on a Zoom call for events in Pomona. Then I was on a Zoom call for events happening in Ontario, Montclair School District. Then I had to drive out to Whittier, and now I'm back here in Pomona. So definitely every day is different, and we work with different communities, but all the communities that we work with, it's unfortunate to say, face the same issues.
Yes. All right, and we're going to take a quick little station break. And when we come back, perhaps you could tell us a little about the history of Project Sister, how it came to be, and how is it, a positive community-based organization in our city and also the connecting cities. So we'll be right back with this quick station break and to talk more with Christina.
Thank you for tuning in. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by Project Sister Family Services, the local sexual assault agency in Pomona. We are located at 363 South Park Avenue, Suite 303. You can get a hold of us on our business line Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 909-623-1619, or call our 24-hour hotline at 909-626-4357.
Okay, well, welcome back to the Positive Pomona Production Studio. This is Andrew Quiñones with the Pomona Promise Network podcast. So, Christina, tell us a little bit about the history of Project Sisters. You said it was 50 years ago that it was created, right?
Yes. So we just celebrated our 50th anniversary last year. We were founded in 1972 by two college students over at the Claremont colleges. And what these college students at the time when they founded Project Sister Family Services, back then it was Project Sister. And Sister was an acronym for Sisters in Service to End Rape. This happened in the early 70s. If you notice, a lot of the rape crisis and the domestic violence movement started in the late 60s, early 70s. Mm-hmm. So these two young ladies from the Claremont College were actually volunteering for another nonprofit in Pomona, which was a suicide hotline. And And through the calls that they were getting on their hotline, they started to see very similar underlying issues. A lot of them, a lot of the callers were calling in because they were having suicidal ideation that was triggered from either a sexual assault that led to substance abuse or substance abuse that led to a sexual assault. So there was a huge correlation. And these two young ladies decided that they were going to start a hotline. And out of the Claremont colleges, out of their dorm room, they started a hotline where they got volunteers. They would have folks call this hotline, and they would provide escort services from the classroom to their dormitories, back to their cars. And it was in a response to provide that support, to provide that sense of emotional security to a survivor or to someone that may have had that fear of becoming victimized. And it was amazing. These women did it out of a volunteer basis. And I'm so thankful to say that Project Sister Family Services, as what we're known today, because, it's not just women that are sexually assaulted. We know men are also sexually assaulted as well as children. And it doesn't only impact the person that it happened to. It's not just the survivor that's dealing with it, but those that love and care for them as well.
Yes.
So
there's a ripple effect, right?
It's a ripple effect. And one of the things that I'm very, very thankful and proud of this organization is that we started as a volunteer organization, and we continue to be a volunteer organization. So our 24-hour hotline is staffed by volunteers.
Okay.
Our volunteers take a 40-hour training that has been certified by the state of California, the Office of Emergency Services, where they receive all of the information that they need. How to respond, how to understand sexual assault, how to understand the process of receiving a forensic medical exam, what is the process of reporting to law enforcement, what is the process of going through the district attorney when there's a case that's being filed. And that 40-hour training prepares these volunteers to do the work that we do. And if it wasn't for our volunteers on our 24-hour hotline, I don't think we can do as much of the work as what we do in the community. Then after, most of the time, folks have their initial contact with us through the hotline. And we, on our hotline, provide that crisis intervention over the phone. Just if someone wants to call and talk about, I'm having flashbacks, this is what happened to me, they can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and we're available. However, our 24-hour hotline also provides that accompaniment service. So,
really?
Yeah. A lot of the times we don't talk about sex in a healthy way. So when we talk about sex as a form of violence or in a taboo way, it's even harder for folks to talk about. So our 24-hour hotline provides the advocates that go out to law enforcement stations. So if someone's reporting to the law enforcement, we will meet them at that station and we will sit with them while they're reporting. If they have to be interviewed for follow-up questioning, we are there with them. We go to the hospitals with them when receiving a forensic medical exam. If they need to go to court and testify, we're there with them. If they are a student in college and they want this happened on college, they want to report it on campus, we're there as an advocate with them. If they're asking for special accommodations under Title IX, we go out with them and we support them on college and K through 12 campuses. And so it's really about providing that emotional support for a survivor. Our volunteers, because they've taken that 40-hour training, they are not only confidential, but they're also privileged. So any conversations that we have with a survivor one-on-one, they're kind of considered like lawyer client privilege, right? So we don't share any of that information with anybody else. And we actually are, protected from having to share that. So it's really helpful, really beneficial. It's what we do. Again, we offer our training 3 times a year in February, July, and October.
So we also want to make sure that this podcast is a great resource for people out there to have opportunities to volunteer, to get involved in our community. So I'm sure the video portion of this podcast will put up some information for those interested in becoming volunteers to be able to link to. But I'm going to guess that they could go to the website also to find linkages on how to become a volunteer for Project Sisters.
Yeah, definitely. If they go to projectsister.org, under the Get Involved tab, fill out the application to become a volunteer advocate. And I believe we have schedules already put up there, but they just fill out their application, agree to the commitment. It's really scary. I'm not going to lie to you. As I mentioned, 11 years ago, I became a volunteer at Project Sister Family Services. And, I'm ashamed to say I did not know about this resource in our community until the day I was looking for an internship. And there was times during the training that I said, what am I doing? Why am I volunteering for this topic, right? And the training really prepared us and prepared me to deal with it. And I can't tell you how many cases I've been with. And one of the things that I will share with the listeners is that it takes a very special type of person to be there for someone that has been sexually assaulted. And as an advocate, I would come across some cases that were really tough, but I remind myself that I am meeting the survivor on the worst day of their life.
Right.
And my presence there, my support.
Wow.
I'm the beginning of their new life, the new healing journey, right? I'm the one giving them that hope that this doesn't have to identify them this doesn't define who they are. It's just a part of them and they can heal and grow from it. And so that's really what I'm really passionate about. I love what I do. And I love it, you know?
Well, it definitely, I could tell. And I think people that meet you in our community also know how passionate and how devoted you are to making a difference in our community, in particular through Project Sisters. Now, again, we've known each other for some time now. I got introduced to Project Sisters back maybe in 1999. The director, her name was Jeannie, and I started with a program called Project Leads with one of my former mentors, Danny Oaxaca, which you've known in the past. As you had said, 50 years ago, the program started, and it seems that it has grown tremendously from just being like an escort service and a 24-hour hotline. The services really have grown and really have outreach to, even school-age children that are able to get some support and some trainings from Project Sister. So what else would you like the community to know that what Project Sister has to offer?
So one thing I do want to let the community know is that we do offer free counseling to survivors of sexual assault and their immediate non-offending family members. So like we mentioned, it doesn't just affect the person that it happened to, it affects those that are around them as well and care for them. Mm-hmm. So we offer counseling to them free of charge. There's no limit on how many counseling sessions they come in with us. Most insurances will tell you, oh, you can only come in for 12 sessions and then we have to refer you out or you have to pay out of pocket. We will work with someone as long as they're working through their trauma. Our outreach services are also completely free. However, I will tell you that we book up fast. Right. We book up in advance too. But we do offer age-appropriate conversations on how to discuss violence prevention. So we're talking to preschoolers and kindergartners about body boundaries. We talk about, what is friendship? We don't bite our friends and we don't say mean things to our friends, because once we start to teach them how to respect one another at a young age, it becomes second nature. Right. And every presentation, every education piece that we give for the youth, we have an adult component, because I am a strong, firm believer that the first teachers we have in our life are our parents, our guardians, our caregivers. And so if we have those conversations with those individuals, the conversations with the younger generation make it easier. Right. And I say that from experience. My parents would never have talked to me about sexual assault, never did, and I will say that. But they would tell me things that now as an adult, I look back and I say, that's what they meant by that comment, right? But I really encourage the community to face this conversation with an open mind. We don't have to make it a scary conversation, but we don't have to make a scary conversation of like creepy strangers, but we also don't have to make it a conversation of where we're making our children too hypervigilant of it. Yes. And so one of the things that we do teach for youngsters, for teenagers, we teach them a Safe Dates, which is a teen dating violence prevention group curriculum. However, there is a component to that that's called Families for Safe Dates, and it really brings up the conversation with parents as to how do you talk to your child about dating, right? I often tell folks, my parents told me you can't date until you're 30. Was that the case? No, I dated before I was 30, right? Yeah. But they didn't know how to have those conversations. So we actually have a workshop this month that we're going to be hosting over at the African American Advisory Alliance on April 13th from 5:30 to 7 p.m., where we're going to be talking to parents, caregivers, even mentors are open. If you are a mentor of youth, of teens, come learn how to have these conversations without making them awkward or uncomfortable.
Cool.
So we have that going on. Like I mentioned, it's April Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so we do have a lot going on. On Saturday, April 15th, at our office here in downtown Pomona, we're going to be having a parent sexual trauma awareness workshop so that if parents, caregivers, guardians that have a child that has been sexually assaulted, they want to understand how to better support, how to better be there for this individual, they can come in. This workshop is from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on April 15th. It'll be an English workshop, and we will have a Spanish workshop on April 29th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
And all these are free for community.
These are all free for the community. Please visit our social media. We are on Instagram and Facebook. We have these posted. Our Instagram, we'll have it up there. I'm going to give you some flyers. Maybe we could put them on that video portion of this. And then the other big event that we have going on for Sexual Assault Awareness Month is that the fourth Wednesday of every April is Denim Day. Have you heard of Denim Day?
Yes. Now, let me see if my memory serves me correct. This was a case in Italy where a woman was I don't know what age she was. I'm guessing maybe in her 20s or something. That she was sexually assaulted, raped, and the judge. I don't know how to say this. The guy got away because the excuse was that her jeans were so tight that help.
Close. Yeah, close enough. You're
jeans, Italian women, and sexual assault, and men that didn't see things as women do from that perspective. But fulfilling all the blanks that I might have missed out on.
You're close. You're really close. So in 1989, the Italian Supreme Court overturned a rape conviction. So a 17-year-old girl was raped by her driving instructor. And he was prosecuted. He appealed his case, and the Italian Supreme Court overturned the conviction because they said that she was wearing tight jeans. And everybody knows that if you wear tight jeans, you can't just take those off of someone without their help. So she must have helped, therefore implying consent. And so there's a huge uproar about it. And so women in Parliament and in Italy all decided the following day to show up to the court, and they stood outside on those steps in protest and as a sign of solidarity for survivors of sexual assault, and they all wore denim. And so now it is an international movement.
International.
Yes, international. It's come over to the United States, and we celebrate it on the fourth Wednesday of every April. And we are going to be bringing Denim Day back. We started Denim Day Pomona in 2012. We started it. 2017 was the last year we had it. And we're actually bringing it back this year in 2023 with the support of the LA County Public Health, the Pomona Wellness Community Center. And we're going to be having it here at the Sean Diamond Plaza on April 26th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. This conversation is going to be talking about human trafficking, sex trafficking of minors. So we'll have a panel to address youth in our community, and we'll also have a panel to address adults and how they can also be agents in prevention and, helping get resources. So we'll come out, we're going to have a DJ, we're going to have fun, and it's just going to be a really good educational raising awareness. If you can't come out, I do ask everyone that on that day, Wednesday, April 26th, please wear your denim, not as a fashion statement, but as a social statement, because it's really important that we raise awareness about this. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before the age of 18.
Wow.
And so it's important for us to make sure that we have these conversations.
Okay. Well, heavy duty, right? It's a lot to take in, one of the quotes that come to my mind is, it continues to come to my mind is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Mhm.
And it certainly seems that Project Sister, for over 50 years, have been really putting in a great effort in preventing just horrible things to happen within our community. And I'm so appreciative. I got two little boys myself. So with resources like Project Sister, I don't have to do it alone as a parent. And I'm hoping a lot other parents that are raising children with consciousness and awareness
Mhm.
and boundaries, right? So I thank you and I thank Project Sister for all the effort they're doing. But we're going to take one more quick little short break. And when we come back, we're going to wind things up. And I want you to share with the community, because you wear many hats. So I want you to share with the community some of the other things that you're doing, so we could bring awareness to some of the other great things that you just got going on in your life with the city of Pomona and other communities. Okay?
Perfect.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Christina Jimenez.
Thank you for tuning in. Today's podcast episode is brought to you by Project Sister Family Services, the local sexual assault agency in Pomona. We are located at 363 South Park Avenue, Suite 303. You can get a hold of us on our business line Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 909-623-1619, or call our 24-hour hotline at 909-626-4357.
All right, welcome back to the Positive Pomona Production Studio. My name is Andrew Quiñones, and we're here with the Pomona Promise Network podcast and Mrs. Christina Jimenez of Project Sisters. So, Christina, of course, we now know your role at Project Sisters, but you also wear other hats in our community. So, why don't you share with some of our listeners the other things that you may be involved in Pomona?
Definitely. So as a 30-plus year resident of Pomona, I have been very committed and engaged to getting involved in my community. And so some other things that I'm participating in, I am part of the actually one of the nonprofit founders of Pomona Beautiful, which does Pomona just litter reduction projects every Tuesday morning. I'm on their board of directors. And through that, we actually also now sponsor and support Pomona Beautification Day, which is a yearly event where we bring the community out together to beautify our community, and we have different projects throughout the city. And so I am on that committee. I am the chair of that committee right now, and we're having Pomona Beautification Day on May 6th.
May 6th. Yeah.
So if you are interested, follow Pomona Beautification Day at pbd.2023. Another hat that I wear in the community is I am a commissioner for the city of Pomona on the Community Life Commission, where we're really talking about the quality of life for residents and how we as a commission can be a conduit between the city and the residents, letting residents know about how to access certain services and departments, and also letting the departments know what are the residents asking for? What do they need to be connected to? And I'm also part of the National Women's Political Caucus. I'm one of the founders of the Pomona Inland Empire chapter, where we are looking to support more women in elected office, as well as to really fight for women's rights.
Mm-hmm. All right. And we just finished the month of March, and that was like International Women's Day, right?
It was Women's History Month. International Women's Day was there. We actually had our second birthday as a caucus for the NWPC Pi, is what we call ourselves. And we had a really lovely conference in downtown Pomona at Fuego Kitchen and Cocina.
All right. Well, cool. And now, as we bring this podcast to a close, what would you like to communicate to our audience? Again, and I'm thinking in particular, I don't necessarily know who our audience is in the age range, but I'm really hoping that in particular young people, 18, transitional age youth, young people are listening to this because you're an inspiration. You're an inspiration in our community and someone that young people I think could look up to on how to be more civically engaged, how to make a difference in the community, not just come home and watch TV and then go to sleep and wait for work for the next day and have this kind of rat race of a life, but really adding value to our family, to our community, and to our overall lives and our livelihoods here. So what inspiring words do you have for the people out there listening in?
I think it's really important that I want to let everybody know. And again, we don't know who's listening in. I think it's important to be very supportive. Just be very compassionate. We don't know what people are facing in their day-to-day lives. And, just smile, be kind to people, because you can be the difference for someone. And I think when we talk about, specifically with Project Sister Family Services being the guest here today, and knowing that sexual violence has been something we've been dealing with for centuries, I think it's important to the listeners to understand that if you have been impacted by sexual violence on a personal level, on a level of someone close and dear to you has been sexually assaulted, I want everyone listening in today to know that they're not alone, that Project Sister Family Services is here to help. And it's never their fault. I think that's the biggest thing that I can ask everybody listening today, is to remember that if harm has been done to us, it's not our fault, and that there are resources and people out there to help us. And when we're ready, when they're ready, we're here. So it's never too late to reach out, to get services and that support. And we're here for you.
All right. One more time, give them the information to connect to your organization.
So to get a hold of Project Sister Family Services 24-hour hotline, our number is 909-626-4357. If you are looking to receive counseling services from us, you can call our office at 909-623-1619. You can also visit our website at projectsister.org or follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And if you want to get involved, they have that tab that links you to become a volunteer and being trained to become a volunteer, yes?
Yes, training to become a volunteer advocate. Again, as I mentioned, I've been an advocate for 11 years with the organization, and it's one of the biggest things that I never regret. I think that's probably the best choice I made in my life.
And I'm going to have one more question for you. What is the favorite thing about your job?
The favorite thing about my job is, I will tell you that it's creating a consent culture. And so
Consent culture.
A consent culture, okay. Because people always tell me, well, what do you people question, well, why do you do the work? Why would you have these uncomfortable conversations with people? Or why, and I tell folks, this has been a form of violence that's been around for centuries. And
thousands of years.
We're not, I don't pretend to think that I'm going to solve it in my lifetime or the lifetime of the following generations. However, if I'm in a group of 40 students, mm-hmm. and I talk to them about what sexual violence is and what consent is, if one person, two people in that group who may have been impacted know that there are resources now for them, now they know that there's a word, there's a term to what happened to them. Or if I get one person to say, hey, consent is important, I'm going to start practicing it, and they go tell their friends, it's like seeds, right? Throwing those seed bombs. You're going to just throw them out and water them, and hopefully we bloom, right? And that consent culture of, now we're going to get folks to really stop and talk about, hey, I remember when this one lady or this one chick came and she said that consent was mandatory. It was important to practice consent. Those are the things that why I do what I do, and I just love it. I really do enjoy, having those difficult conversations with folks, because sometimes people will be like, you don't really think that counts, right? Or, and I'm always open for that challenge to have those conversations. And so I think that's what I love the most about my job, is that I have these difficult conversations, but they're not, I think we think they're more difficult than what they really are. And so I just love having those conversations and opening conversations and doors for others to really stop and think about how they practice and what they do in their lives.
Right. Well, Christina, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful that you were able to come and hang out with us today at the Positive Pomona Production Studio. Keep up the good work, and I look forward to continuing to see you in our community.
Thank you very much, Andy, and thank you to Pomona's Promise for inviting me. I can't tell you what a blessing it's been to be part of Pomona's Promise since 2014?
Yeah.
2014, I believe, is when we started. And, being a former chair of the Community Engagement Board, which is now sponsoring this podcast, I'm very pleased and happy to hear that this is happening. And so thank you for having me, and I hope you all have a happy Sam.
All right. And don't forget to push that like button and subscribe and share with others. Again, this is a community podcast with good information, so we really want people to share and to get to know the community members within our city. So when you see them on the streets, or you could always give them a hello, or even a thank you, perhaps, huh?
Definitely.
So continue to tune in, and we'll see you in the streets of Pomona. Peace.
Bye.